Hello and a very warm welcome from New Zealand today. This is a very special edition of Disruptive Business Leadership, and it's my pleasure to welcome you today. We'll be discussing leadership in the AI era, how to stay seen, heard and trusted in 2026. Now, what am I doing in the hot seat today? I'm your host, Linnea Johnston. And the reason that I am here talking to you today, because our usual fearless host, Roy Kowalski, is currently here in New Zealand too. He's testing out our golf courses, and he and I will be meeting for the first time early next week, which is something that's really special after years of collaboration across the Tasman. Also with us today, hello Martin from Sydney, from aisle 13, and we look forward to having a chat with you today too. So barring any last minute technical hitches, which is bound to happen with me in the hot seat, because technology is not my greatest area of expertise, but we have also in the background my very trusty, very good friend and video producer, problem solver, Chef Ferguson, who will bail me out if I manage to get into any difficulties whatsoever. So before we get started on our topic for today, and I give an intro to that, I would like to welcome Roy and Martin and ask each of you to just give us a quick intro, who you are, what you do, who you serve, please. Roy, as our very special Kiwi guest today, you can start.
I was going to pass the baton on to my very good friend Martin, and I'll jump in after him.
Okay.
Oh God, I turned the mic on. Morning, everybody. I'm Martin Starr, the Courage Champion. I'm a keynote speaker on courage and leadership, author of the book Courage, Your Right Hook, and I also have a consulting practice and coaching practice where I help people get their clarity, confidence, and resilience to lead themselves and their teams.
Thank you. Roy, or would you like to wait till after Melanie?
I'd always like to have ladies first, so I'll
Ladies first. Mel, please introduce yourself.
Thanks for your warm welcome. I'm a girl from the Bronx who is right now in the Adirondacks celebrating the Thanksgiving holiday with family. So a warm toast to those who are also celebrating, or happy weekend, or good day, as my good friends here have taught me. Good day. And greetings to Roy across the ditch. I am an event conversion strategist who is certified in trust. And delighted to join you today.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving, Mel. Roy, clearly you have something special in mind if you're going to go last today.
Well, I thought that it just happened that that we went out for an early morning walk this morning, and I said to them, if we are back in time, I'd love to join the LinkedIn. But as it so turned out, I did. But just have a look at this view behind me, just so that anyone is interested. Look at this ocean. So here I am in New Zealand, across the ditch, as we say. My name is Roy Kowalski, and I'm thrilled and very, very grateful to my friend Linnea for hosting today's show. I'm not going to be running it; she's going to be doing that. And I really look forward to catching up with you, Linnea, on Tuesday, as well as Mamita. And I'm sure that I'm going to get some jealous looks from Martin, because he knows both of you as well as Mel. So I call myself promotional product disruptor, specializing in trade show preparation and readiness. And what does that mean? It means that companies are ready to go and set up a stand on a trade show. They purchase the actual space, and then they have no idea what to do. So I use my trade show preparation process, which is now proven that it works and it's a success, to assist those kind of companies, small to medium-sized businesses that want to get a return. Whoever wants to go and be part of a trade show and spend money, and then you don't get visitors to your stand. Bang! So that's what I am. That's my name, and I'll be out and I'll join in whenever I'm asked to speak. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Roy. Well, my name's Linnea Johnston, so kia ora from New Zealand. Roy's at the top of the country. I'm right down at the bottom of the country. And it's my pleasure, as I say today, to be hosting today's event, where we're going to be talking about leadership in the age of AI visibility. This is an issue dear to my heart because at the beginning of the year, I was only starting my own AI journey. And I think the world was really struggling to come to terms with the fact that AI wasn't on its way anymore. It was actually here, and how could we use it to our benefit, not let it take our jobs, but really make it work for us. I think we've all come a long way using it this year, and it's going to be even more prominent, I think, next year as it starts to creep into the everyday apps we use. This week I got notification that AI is now available as part of my WhatsApp function, which is an interesting move, and I think we're going to see it creep into our usual apps just like that in other areas in the new year. So where does that leave all of us in terms of leadership? Because I think it's really important that we find a way to use AI to be seen, heard, and still trusted when both human and intelligent systems are forming impressions of our leadership. So what the rules have been in the past are not the rules that are going to work anymore. And as you know, I'm mainly focused on LinkedIn and helping people to understand it and how to really make it work for them. But I'm also really keen to see people using AI as part of that journey. But it's a tricky one. Where do we draw the boundaries? So what can we do and what can't we do? How is AI perceiving what we do? And I think it's very clear from what's happened with LinkedIn this year, an example of which is reducing reach on our posts, that changes have been made from the LinkedIn end already. In fact, it has a whole new engine underpinning it. So the way that we are perceived by LinkedIn, I think, has changed a lot this year, and it's hard to come to grips with. And I can't say that I've got it fully mastered yet, but it encompasses all of our presence on LinkedIn, not just our posts, not just the comments we put on other people's posts, not just our profiles, but everything all rolled together. So today what I want to do is I want to start with a couple of opening thoughts and then pose a question for the panel to talk about this particular issue, and then just let's see where the conversation takes us, because I think it's really an interesting one that we and leaders all over the world are going to have to grapple with next year. So hi for the guy walking behind Roy. So what I would like to do is just mention that I think that what AI visibility really means for leaders in 2026, it's going to be how we use AI tools and how they interpret leadership signals across different platforms and not just LinkedIn. And I'd like to really think about it all in terms of visibility, how AI is perceiving what we're doing, how other people who we might want to do business are perceiving via AI what we are doing, because we need to remember some people will find us using AI. Some people will find us a good old-fashioned way with a Google search, but that could also mean AI, which is obviously now well entrenched in Google. So here is my question, I think, to begin with, is how can we be more visible using AI? And what does it really mean for leaders in 2026 at a practical level? I know that Roy likes things that we can implement, ideas that we can put into practice immediately, and I don't think his visit across the Tasman will have changed his mind about that. And so let's look at things that we can offer the audience that are practical things that they may be able to use, or alternatively, ideas that they might want to keep in mind when thinking about this visibility question for 2026. Roy, would you like to start as our Kiwi guest for the moment?
It feels quite strange to be, standing in New Zealand and speaking, but it's absolutely an absolute pleasure. Linnea, if I can share one thought, and that is that we've got to decide that we want to be part of this technology. So the first step is to say, I'm in, and not fight against it. If you want to fight against it, guess what? You're going to be left behind. So for me, that's the first step. Make a choice. I'm going to embrace it. And it's a learning curve. It's not, it's not a magic switch that you can switch on to say, I am now the AI expert. There's no switch. So my approach is, I want to know as much as I can. I'm busy researching, doing different courses so I can learn and my business can learn. But I don't want to ever lose the human element. So for me, it's about choices, and then it's about bringing in technology and human involvement to be able to get the best results out of it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Good for you. We'll see how you feel after a weekend in New Zealand. Mel, do you have some thoughts on this about leadership and visibility in 2026?
Definitely. And I'm really grateful to one of my amazing team members, Carla Sellers, who is launching Virtual Link Suite. Carla is one of my virtual team members and has been for 4 years. And Carla has been using AI behind the scenes. She is cheering me on as a leader of my own team as I'm now exploring how to integrate AI and being certified in trust. As Roy was saying, that human element, and sometimes, and I'm a teacher's kid and I'm in mom's living room right now, the daughter of the scholar, as Merrill would say, where we're trying to figure out how to integrate something at a rate and a pace that we're able to sustain it. Learning and development is kind of a lane that I'm in, and I had to learn for myself. I am an auditory and a solitary learner who's also a visual learner. So trying to bridge those three on the back to help myself absorb it. And like we say, we need to match the human touch to how we live, to what feels genuine to us. And so I'm delighted to join you for this discussion today. And my team members will be cheering me on as, oh, she's experimenting with AI again.
I think it's certainly an experiment, isn't it? And I can't help thinking it's one step forward and maybe even 3 steps back, given how fast it's all changing. This week I got ChatGPT 5.1. I don't think I'd managed to master ChatGPT 4.1 at all before I've now been thrust into 5.1. Who knows how fast it's going to continue, but it seems to be we're on a barrel roll at the moment, that is for sure. Martin, some thoughts from you, if you wouldn't mind.
If you want to be visible in AI, you need to be visible. I've written and I've had an op-ed published about Andrew Tate. I shared that on LinkedIn. Andrew Tate is the most Googled man on the planet. As I was doing the research for the piece, I was using AI to search certain aspects, and it kept bringing up articles, references. AI references LinkedIn, it references media, it references all different points. So if you want to be featured in AI, you need to be visible. And how do you do that? By being active on LinkedIn, by posting articles, by having a Substack, all different aspects, which not so long ago would have been covered under search engine optimization, which is a bit of a mouthful. I'm not sure if it's going to be AIEO. I don't know. You may as well add a U to it. But the point is, it's no different as if AI didn't exist at all. You would need to be visible. And that's ultimately a choice for you as a leader. It's more pressing now to do so because AI is rapidly becoming the search engine of choice. It's becoming the reference point for expertise. So the choice is yours if you want to be visible or you want to be invisible.
I absolutely agree with that, because there's no question that the world has changed in 2025. And before I go on, I just want to recognise Merrill. Merrill Cass is our connector-in-chief on the show and on my own Linkability live stream show too, because he's the person who always ensures that everybody in our circle and the wider circle hears about our events and was always here to support. So a very happy Thanksgiving, Merrill, and thank you so much for all that you do for us. So continuing on this, in this vein about visibility and AI in leadership, my interest in the last 2 or 3 weeks, really, I think, has been around the fact that how AI does searches or finds us, and that's now called surfacing or discovering us, has changed a lot from the way that Martin was just talking about in terms of SEO. And when we go to any major search engine now to do a search, whether that, I'm talking about the usual ones such as Google, we do now get AI reviews at the top or recommendations. So it's all being built in to what we are searching on. Now, I think the way that we have done searches in the past has changed too. So for myself, for example, I don't always go to Google as my first port of call anymore when I'm wanting to do a search. I'll use it to check the spelling of something if I can't quite remember how to do something. But I will generally use AI for more complicated or in-depth searches. And I don't think that I'm alone in that. The problem with that, of course, well, problem being what we have always known, is that AI searches differently than SEO does. And so it's not all about keywords anymore. It's not about keyword phrases and keyword stuffing and all of those tricks that people have used for years to get to the top of Google. It's changed dramatically. And how it now finds us, surfaces us, discovers us, and then presents us to people on the back of searches has changed. Now, I don't know about you, but the way I ask a question of Google and the way I ask a question of my AI is completely different. So when I'm talking with my AI and want it to do something for me, I'll give it context. I'll write it as if I was asking Roy a question. I'll say, Roy, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I want to achieve. How do I use this tool to be able to do that? Now, I do the same with AI, whereas with Google, I'm much more likely to say, how does this tool work, or show me tools that would do this job, and it will do that in a completely different sort of way with a lot of adverts in between. I think that's another reason why people are using AI so much. No adverts at this stage. I don't think that's going to stay there forever, but I'll be interested to see where it goes. But I do think part of this whole issue about whether we're surfaced, whether we're discovered, or whether people find us through AI is around trust, and about being credible, and about being seen as the leaders in our field, as experts, as thought leaders, as having strong reputations in this area. And I do believe that how that comes across has changed. And so I would be interested in your views about how leaders can enhance their reputation using AI, and whether or not we need to be doing things differently than we have in the past. And if so, what those things might actually be. Because, of course, the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. However, the goalposts have moved. I do like a good mixed metaphor, let me just say that. The goalposts have changed, and so now we are still trying to find those goalposts so that we do get surfaced and discovered by AI. So how do we go about that and maintain our the view that people have of us already, that we are trustworthy, we are credible people to do business with, and we know what the hell we're talking about? How do we do that in an AI age? Roy, have you got any ideas? I'm all ears.
Well, so the way I see it at the moment is it's a learning curve process, and it starts with being involved in it. So the way I do it is I wouldn't classify myself as having the best way with words. Some may disagree and some may agree. That's not important. The reality is I'm not a content creator, a content writer, I should say. So I need some help. So here AI has put their hand up and said, we can help you. So the way I do it is I've got a pretty good idea what I want to say. So I say to AI, I say, give me some better ways to say this. Share with me some ideas. And I want to just highlight what Lynette said, and that is, you've got to tell it more than less. Don't say, write me this. Give them some context to what you want, how you want to say it, what you want to do. And then I press the button that says, here's some magic ideas. And AI explodes with these incredible things. Now, here's the thing. We can either copy and paste that and rely solely on AI, which I don't do, or I can say, oh, I like that phrase. Oh, I like that phrase. Oh, I could use that. And then I will say to it at the end, give me a hook, share with me a hook on this topic. Give me a good call to action on that topic. And that's where I think we use the value of it. So that's what I use it for, and that's how I use it. But here's the next step for me is I want to learn more. It's no good standing in the same place and saying, I can do this and I can do this. I want to know more. And the only way I can know more is to actually get myself involved in courses that can help me get the best out of it. Because I think we are missing the biggest trick in the book. And that is how to get it to help our business. And that's where we are. My name is Roy and I'm out.
I agree. We do need to use it to help our business. And one of the things that I like about AI is when it gives you an output, it says, would you like me to do A or B now? Or now I'm getting with 5.1, I'm getting A, B, C, and D options from the end of each of my output. And I'm looking at it and going, well, no, just a minute. I need to deal with what you've already given me first of all. And then I'll come back and we'll look at A, B, C, or D. But what it does do is it gives me options that I may not have thought of. And that's one of the things that I really like. And I'm with you, Roy. I use it in terms of a creation of content too, or refining, editing content. I'll often give it a post and say, can you please just tidy this up and make it look and sound like me? But it's very important that we do that and not just use it directly out of AI itself. I definitely agree with that. But it's getting so much better. I'm having to do less and less editing, I find. But it does save me an awful lot of time. There's no question. Mel, are you using AI yourself yet in your work? And if so, how are you using it in the way that Roy's been talking about?
So the way that I'm using it now is I'm finally this close to submitting my Advanced Trust Facilitator Certification project. Now I have 15 months worth of conversations, of data, of input, of ideas, of journal entries, and I'm finally putting it into Ask SSL, which is about to transition. So I don't use ChatGPT, and I'm not using Claude, and I'm not using Perplexity and some of the other amazing tools that others are talking about. From a trust perspective, the only way I trusted to test it and start learning was to use, I'm loading what others would call intellectual property and really close to it into a system that's private. It's not feeding a knowledge base. I'm also using it for our event alchemy experiences. I have 17 years of event content, how to prepare for expos, how to network around events, how to take advantage of it as a speaker, as an author. And I've given a lot of presentations on it. So these are the two areas that I'm concentrating on using it in December to complete two different projects. One is an outline for the event alchemy. So it's in bullet points by subject headings that I'm asking AI to analyze the headings and put it in non-Mel terms. But the data on trust, I gave it specific framework. For example, I'm allergic to build trust. I was delighted to pop in into a training recently, and a thought leader I've been following suggested establish trust. And I really like that because the relationship building part of AI, as a relationship builder who isn't transactional, that's the lane I know I have to stay in to use it. As I expand in 2026 with my team member Carla's help, Carla is using it for My Impossible Lives. She creates transcripts of every single episode. She's using the AI to create like a mic drop, so to speak, when she's sharing it and putting the content on YouTube. So I think how I'm using it and how my longest team member is using it are different. And I'm looking forward to kind of meeting in the middle in 2026. I think it's a blend of our individualism. It's a blend of our creativity, and it's a blend of our goals. So I'm looking forward, as Carla has invited me, to kind of meet in the middle somewhere in 2026. So thanks for an amazing question.
Thank you. Lot to talk about in that one, and also a lot to move forward on for you. And one of the things I love about this is it's a journey, and each of us is on a different journey using the same tools, or maybe not, but generally we're all using AI in different ways to achieve different goals. So I think that's what's really fascinating about this. Martin, some thoughts from you on this?
Some thoughts. One is a talking point, and what's the market saying about AI? Is AI in a bubble? Of course it is. What happens when that bubble is burst? For me, it doesn't matter what tools you're using, it's how you're using it. And it's what you've all said in some ways about editing. I will create something and I will use AI to edit it, as you said in there, so it sounds like me. And when AI goes off on its tangents, which it's very good at doing, I said, you're removing my voice. It doesn't sound like me. I want it to be a bit edited because I talk and put the text in, and then I will do the final edit. Now, the problem, and LinkedIn, we've all either signed or not agreed like me, not to use our content for it to train AI. So it's not us speaking anymore, it's somebody else. And that's the risk of using AI too much, is that where does your value stop? Where does it become AI is doing it? And as a customer or as an employer, if I can pay $0 or $1 a day rather than employing you, what option are they going to take? So where is your value in this? Where is your value proposition? And the more people are using AI for things, the less they are going to be buying that from the market. So there's a risk of undermining your value. And that's the point of how you use it. Use it strategically, that it doesn't detract from what you do. It enhances what you do.
I agree. And that goes back to the question that Roy raised about how do we use this to do more business rather than less, which is what you're talking about there, the risks on that. And I haven't got my own head around this one at this point, but I will share an example of something someone sent me this week, which I found fascinating. And they sent me a GPT that somebody else had created that did a particular function. And I think that the idea of the function was to clarify your value proposition. As far as I could tell, that was exactly what it was all about. And so so inevitably, I had to try this thing. It worked really, really well. It had some drawbacks, the most important being that if you didn't go right to the end of the process while you were using it, you couldn't come back to it later, which I thought was a bit of an issue, really. But the point being that they had created a GPT that they were then they were giving it away at this point. What if we in our businesses could create a GPT that becomes actually a product that we can then sell to people, that they can then use our knowledge, our systems, our blueprint, if you like, to do the work that they would otherwise be using AI for, instead of using us. So in other words, we are still making sure that we are giving our knowledge and experience to people, and they are still paying for it, but not directly. They're not hearing it directly from us. They are going through a process that we devise via a GPT that then gives them the results that they would get if they were talking to us directly. So now I haven't formulated this through to see whether it's really possible or whether it's not, but I can't see why it couldn't be. And why Mel's just told us she's got oodles and oodles of content and ideas and information and knowledge and experience in her fields of expertise. What if that was put together into a GPT, which I would describe as a product really, and then we were able to sell that to people and they could use that. Now, I'm only thinking about this really at the very beginning stages, and I have no idea whether this is a really good idea to even put it out there in public, but I would be interested in anybody's feedback on that and ideas about whether that's a good idea. And I might also ask people who are watching if they've got any ideas about this, or they've seen this happen, or are doing it themselves in some way. Because I think, and I'm fairly certain this is already underway, that there is an app store for GPTs, just like there's an app store for apps on our phone. And that may well be where business is going next year. I don't know. What does anybody else have to say about that, Roy? Let's start with you.
Well, I'm going to use a particular practical example, and then I'm going to share where I think, I want to use it in my business. So my sister in South Africa, she has been told that from the school that she's at, she's a highly qualified teacher, that at the end of this year, she's too old for them to re-employ, which is absolute BS. Anyway, they asked her to do an exit interview. So she sent me the words that she was going to use in this exit, and all she was doing was she was bashing the headmistress by telling her the things that she wasn't. So I rewrote it in my own words, and then I put it into ChatGPT and said, "Give me an empathetic understanding." I explained exactly what I wanted in the exit interview, and that came up with a real magnificent exit strategy, which she took to the exit interview and she read it out. She sent me an email that she received from the head of the committee that does the exits, and said they've never had somebody come to an exit strategy with such brilliant feedback. Now, I'm not taking credit for this because I'm not the brilliant feedback, but what I am saying is I utilized the technology of AI to make it better. Now, to answer your question, I am in the process at the moment of finding some sort of AI course that can help me with the promotion of video brochures. I think that there's an opportunity with AI to be able to use it in such a way that it starts to show people the value of what video brochures do, because it's my signature product. So what you're talking about now, Lene, is where I'm actually in the process of learning about, to be able to transform that into a magnet that can bring business in for video brochures.
Well, that makes sense to me. And I'll be interested to see how that goes for you, Roy, because clearly there's a lot of value in those video brochures. And I can't see why people aren't just buying them in droves. Well, they probably are, actually, in actual fact, but they need to buy your one. What's the value in your particular video brochure? I guess that's got to be the defining point, doesn't it really? So that's a fascinating way of looking at it. And now my brain's going off in a different direction altogether, but I need to stay on the topic. Mel, have you got some ideas on this before my brain just starts working in completely the wrong direction?
I think that's the mystery of AI, Linnea. Our brains go at light speed. We're putting information and prompts into a technology platform and asking it to dissect, and in some cases to distill. But I think the opportunity is, as some of my amazing collaborators have suggested, is to use it as a tool to refine. I think the challenges for me of AI, and one of the reasons why I didn't step toward it sooner, were I started having conversations with amazing professionals who are using it to break up personal relationships. The advice of what language should I use to break up with a new person who is connected with me in my life. And that part, I think, for me, caused me to really take a step back, because as Roy's mentioning, trying to use it to adapt it to sales of a particular product or a specific product line, I think we have to refine it to exactly fit our goals. And that sometimes is a challenge because, as Martin says, when he mentions aisle 13, Martin designs aisle 13 around a specific set of stories we tell. I think the thing for me, the challenge in approaching the refinement or in approaching the distillery is when it distills the information, the teacher's kid, I need to make sure that you're helping us be well prepared, not well prepared to overload with information. So I think that's kind of where I'm at on it. I have tons of transcripts, thanks to Carla, of every live stream we've done. And now I have over 100 and some odd transcripts. I read pretty quickly, but how quickly do we digest the information? How quickly do we distill it? And in cases when we're using it to help us repurpose or simplify, that I think is the challenge.
Yeah, I find the danger with that is you can use AI to do all the repurposing, but not actually take in the information. Because you can use it to create a summary. You might have been on an event like this, then you create a transcript, then you create a summary, then you start repurposing the other content, but you may not actually have taken in all the things that were said and the important things. And I find that AI, when it does a summary, doesn't actually give me the information I really want to know because it doesn't know what I don't know. So what I want it to tell me in the summary is the things that I do not know. How does it do that? It doesn't. It just gives me an overview or a prompt that then leads me, back to the transcript, and I then have to have another look at it because I think the danger is it takes our brain out of the equation. All we're doing is mechanically using it to do one task after another and not taking in the information that we would otherwise have to do in order to be able to distill it ourselves. So that's the danger that I see happening, and I see it in my own work as well. So thank you for that particular point. Martin.
Can you do me a favor and bring up Felipe's comment? Because I think that's the answer.
All right, let me find it. Here, is this one?
Yeah.
Great. I haven't seen this. All right.
Identifying opportunities where you're leveraging AI to absorb administrative and coordinator level tasks. This has allowed us to redistribute higher value responsibilities to team members who now have additional capacity thanks to AI. So my point here is, you using AI, does that free you up and your customers up to access Linnair's expertise? In doing so, frees Linnair and frees the customers to get higher value. Now, from my software procurement days, software was always on servers, would be expensive upgrades, expensive service to maintain. What changed that was software as a service. What has software as a service done? It's created its own behemoth that now AI is replacing. You don't need expensive subscriptions because AI is actually going to automate the software on the server environment. So servers were redundant because you're using software as a service. Oh, what do you need now? Oh, you need servers. We need these big data centers to automate and give you the AI that we need. What's the one thing that hasn't changed is people needed the software to actually use the service. So the answer to the question is, I think these individual GPTs are a bit of a fad, because I mentioned before about the AI bubble, how quickly, right, OpenAI and all the companies, as soon as they see people making money from those individual GPTs, what are they going to do? They're going to add it to their product. What do big tech companies do when they see a competitor rising? They buy the competitor and they add it to their own product. So I'm sure it will work well, but my point being, how does it free you up? How does it add value to Linnair? And how does it add value to your customers? If the GPT is the way of doing that, then that's the answer. If it's not, then I don't know, it might not be the right thing to do.
No, I agree. There are a lot of unanswered questions. And we are really only in the infancy of all of this. But it's a very interesting time to be alive, isn't it? To be going through all of this. Those of us who've been here for more than a couple of decades look back and go, wow, we would never have thought we would get to this point in our lifetimes, and yet here we are. And it's fascinating and it's scary, and I have no idea where it's going to end up once it all becomes mainstream and we just see it everywhere. Will we ruin everything with it? Who knows? But basically, science fiction has landed on our doorstep and we get to play with it, which I think is an amazing thing. But I do think that we need to consider the human side of it. It's all very well using it as a tool to create this, that, and the next thing, whether that's an individual GPTs or anything else that might help us to increase our business. But at the end of the day, I think the problem that we might all face, and there's been a lot of talk about all of this, is being human. And people recognizing that it doesn't sound like, when you use AI, it doesn't sound like us. You can train it to sound more like us, but it doesn't sound like us. It's not human. It can't think like we do. It can't put the different things together that we know and join the dots, connect the knowledge that we've all got in our heads. And I don't know that we will, certainly won't get there in our lifetime. Who knows if we'll get there at all ever. But I do believe that we need to think about the human side of it and keeping firm control on it, if you like. I don't know whether that is the best way to describe it, in terms of we are in control of our own use of it, that is for sure. But we do want to make sure, I think, that the human side of it still comes out, because at the beginning of the year, there was very much still an attitude of, oh, you used AI, did you? And it was, people looked down their noses at other people who were using it, right? We're at the end of the year now, and I think attitudes have changed a lot. And I think it's now become, oh, you used AI. How did you do that? And what did that work like? And what else are you using it for? And I think that we have got to a point where people are a lot more open about it and a lot more interested in being able to use it in different ways. There are more tools, way more tools than most of us can use, but there is that kind of openness towards it now. And I think that change in attitude is going to take us that next step. Quite what that next step is going to entail, I'm not entirely certain. But this really just opens the door for just a bit of a chat, I think, here about remaining human with AI and how we are best to be able to do that. And I'm not entirely certain I know any of the answers around this. So I'd be very interested to hear about your views on this. And we'll start again with Roy.
Yeah, well, I think we're all saying the same thing, except there's a very big distinction between embracing it and fighting against it. And I think you've got to choose, what are you going to do? Are you going to embrace it and see how it can help you? Or are you going to try and fight it off as long as possible? I mean, when people originally started talking about ChatGPT and AI, I mean, we all thought they were mad. We thought this is just like a crazy passing phase. But here's the thing, is that I'm starting to realize that it's all very well when I write a post and I want to change a couple of words and then I want to try and get a better description for it. That's the easy part. The more difficult and more complicated part is, how am I going to integrate this into my business to make my business more user-friendly, to make my business clearer to my audience, and more importantly, as Felipe said, to free me up to think of different things. And as I've been listening to this conversation today, it sparked something in my mind to say, it's time that I started to say to myself, I'm a minefield of knowledge, experience, and expertise. Not because I'm brilliant, but because I've been there. I've made the mistakes. I've learned the lessons. Yeah, it's all here, all in my head. Now, why can't I take all of this human knowledge and experience and expertise that I've got and bring technology closer to it and bringing this together so that I can formulate something that appeals to more people? And I'm saying my video brochures is my starting point. but it's also going to include the exhibition systems. Because if I can use technology to showcase a better version of me trying to say it, then I need rocks in my head not to be able to participate in that. My name is Roy and I'm out.
I think that's absolutely true, Roy. And you're somebody who is selling products and a service, and your service is around the strategy and how people use the products that you sell. So yes, you're selling a video brochure, but you're also selling the knowledge about how to use it properly and how not to use it as well. And so it's combining those two things together, I think, that where AI is going to be able to help you in how to communicate the value of what you are selling to other people, so to potential clients. And the same with your exhibition stands. It's not just a stand, it's a whole theory around it, because people want to know not just what to do, but why they're doing it like that. And I think that's where the knowledge side of things comes in. Because you're right, we've spent decades learning our craft, haven't we? And we've made all the mistakes there are to be made, I hope. Probably not. But there's a lot more that we can teach people. And so maybe this is more about sharing this information with other people in a way that helps them, but at the same time also contributes to our income, because we don't want to be giving this knowledge away without something coming back on the back. And that, I think, is where the tricky bit is, this tying up the sharing of this knowledge that's in our heads with the income, building the income side of it. And that's where it's going to be very interesting. Mel, do you have some thoughts on this one?
Yes, and I'm really grateful in this process of being invited by my team member to kind of use AI differently and explore different aspects of the tool besides finishing complex projects. I'm working with an extremely talented sales coach for quiet leaders. She blends AI with human design. And I love Allie's comment, use AI to bake the cake, we still ice it. To remember that the intelligence part is where an opportunity for collaboration exists. If we refine what feels artificial, what feels uncomfortable, what doesn't feel like us, if it's not the perfect shoe, the perfect dress, the perfect hat, the perfect suit, you tailor it. You take it to other professionals and you utilize your skills, their skills, combined skills to refine it. I think that's the part. There's an operation there, and I don't know what the levers look like for me in terms of long-term use of it in 2026. But I do know the willingness to change, the willingness to explore. I love to write, and I'm finally back to the writer curled up with the pen. I will not use AI to create posts. I will use AI to finish my projects. I will use AI to help outline event strategies. I will use AI to go through the 17 years of content that I cannot distill. And I think the part is we really need help with the simplifying part. Felipe's comments and Allie's comment about AI baked the cake and you still have the chance to ice it. You can put your favorite decorating colors, you can put your trims, you can, tailor it for a family member or a special occasion. But I think the reminder that, as Martin always says in aisle 13, we need to bring our secret sauce.
I agree. And that's what makes us each unique and individual. And I think that sometimes AI can help us define what that secret sauce is, because it's quite hard sometimes, I think, to be very clear about our unique point of difference. And so using AI to help us gain that clarity, I think, is important. Martin.
I have cancelled 3 subscriptions this week. They're all coming up for renewal. And I actually missed one, and they gave me a refund, and that was Restream. Restream, I wasn't getting value from it. And I got a discount as soon as I pressed cancel. They offered me 20% off, and I gave this as a tip to a friend. But the point is, it was hard to cancel through AI. Through all of their tools and bots, had to speak to a human being. Cancelled Opus Prime, Opus Video. I haven't used it to the functionality that many people use. I wasn't getting value. I wasn't going to pay again. Had to use AI, not their own AI, had to use AI to find out, how do I cancel this service? Click the button to cancel. And what happened again? A 20% discount if I want to renew. Then there was something else, and it was on that cutover point. How do I cancel it? I have to log a ticket to speak to a person. So AI, when we become over reliant on it, when we're actually not, are we getting value from it? Is my point here. Because we talk about aisle 13, the value is the stories, the fun. Are we getting value from it? If we're not getting value from it, there are so many other tools we can go to get value. And my point here is with employees, with customers and teams, what value are they getting from it? What value do we need them to get from it? And I love Felipe's example. We've reduced the amount of admin task, so our team got to work on high value activities, and it freed them up. Now, AI does that to a certain extent, but AI, my goodness, it makes things complicated. And if wanting to cancel a service, when they use AI embedded, the one thing you need to do is speak to a human being, then the way some businesses are using AI, they've got a long way to go. Because I'm sharing a story on that platform, I could quickly go to any those websites, just give it an evaluation of a service, and people get in an AI feed, this is difficult to cancel. So what value are you getting from it? What value are your customers and team getting from it? I think that's a principle. The principle for me with technology has always been technology helping humans.
I agree. I've had some real troubles trying to organise a venue for Roy and I to be able to get together at Auckland Airport on Tuesday, and I could not find a human to speak to, no matter where I looked and what I did, and everything had to be done through a bot, through emails, through a form. There was nowhere I could just ring up and ask somebody about the details I wanted to check, the cost, what's available, when's it available, and da-da-da. And that really, really irritated me, because I remember the days when you could phone a company, a venue, or a business and ask the questions in a very easy conversational manner, and made it quick, 5-10 minutes. You were off the call, you knew what you needed to do, and you could make the next steps. But I have a horrible feeling that a lot of companies are now putting either AI, automation, bots, all of those kind of things in the way of doing business. They make it more difficult for us to do business. Now, you're talking about trying to stop doing business with people, and they're making it difficult to do that. And I can see their point of view about why they might make it more difficult to do that. But I cannot understand why they make it more difficult to do the business with them in the first place. That makes no sense to me at all. But Roy will be pleased to know that there is a venue. We do have some seats to sit on, and we won't be sitting out on the tarmac watching the planes go by on Tuesday, which is a very good thing, isn't it, really? So I found this conversation to be absolutely fascinating, and I always enjoy, as you know, getting together with you all at the end of each month. And in fact, this is going to be the last of these live streams I'm on for 2025. So I am pleased to be back with you. I was with you every week for 2024 and ramped it back just a little in 25, and I'm hoping that there might be an invitation extended in 26 to show up as a human being on these again from you, Roy. So I would like just to finish off today with just a whiz around the room to ask about opportunities that you might see for 2026 in terms of leadership, to round out our conversation today, and any last thoughts that perhaps you'd like to leave people with. Roy.
Well, I suppose the last thought I want to leave is that it is my choice to want to be more involved with technology and AI. That's what I'm choosing. And I'm going to use 2026 as a way to plug in technology to be able to enhance my business, to bring in more business. That's really it, not complicated. And as Felipe and Martin so beautifully put it, to free me up to do the things that I'm really good at. And the central aspect of my business is that I understand strategy. It's easy to say, I can sell this, I've got this to sell. But if you don't know how to achieve an outcome, then you basically don't get out the starting blocks. And that's my secret sauce, is I understand how to achieve outcomes using strategies. So I'm going to be looking for ways to introduce AI technology into my business to enhance it, to enlarge it, but more importantly, to assist me to grow the business in such a way that it can help me to grow my business. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Pleasure. Mel.
The opportunity exists to personalize artificial intelligence, to adapt it to our goals, to our team functions, as to our responsibilities, and to our interests, and based on our thoughts, and to use it as a tool to complement them, the integration part, so that others clearly know who you are, what you stand for, and what your difference is. And that's the opportunity that I'm planning to embrace with the help of talented coaches, collaborators, and my amazing small and mighty team. So thanks again for a chance to join you today for the last of our 2025 Linear series.
Excuse me. I'm overcome. So overcome, I'm coughing. Thank you, Mel. And happy Thanksgiving. Martin, some final words from you for today.
Yeah, I want to reference what Spencer said about people in the UK losing jobs because of AI, and it's honestly not good news. My point was going to be around storytelling. What companies tend to do very badly is not describe how the technology is going to be used early enough in any kind of change program. So I think from a leadership perspective, whether using AI with or any other tool, you have to bring the human element into this. How will it affect your customers? How will it affect your people? Removing the fear of AI. And if companies haven't worked out what they're doing, just communicate that. Try and bring the story so it's relevant to people as much as possible. Because what happens when there's lack of clarity, fear sets in, speculation sets in, and that's what makes things so much harder. So trying to be as clear as possible in the story and include your customers, include your teams, so they have clarity and it's something to look forward to. And as Felipe, you're going to mention him again, it's about those high value activities that enable people to do more, not be fearful and do less.
I agree. I think 2026 is going to be a fascinating year because more and more people will be starting to use AI, and in different ways than we've seen currently. There'll be more tools that offer us new opportunities and new ways to be able to use it as well. And I think there'll be wide scale adoption of it, not only by people like us, but by general people in their everyday lives. And there will be companies who are looking very hard at how it can be added to their offering and incorporated into the services and products that they already offer. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what 2026 provides for us. I know it's going to be another fascinating year. And as I said earlier, I'm very pleased to still be alive to be able to see these days when we can really make good use of these brand new tools and turn them to our advantage along the way. I think that's a fascinating thing. So I want to thank everybody today for showing up on Thanksgiving if you're in the States. It's really kind of you to do that, and particularly Mel, who's been with us right from the start of this live stream today. Thank you for spending the time with us in person. Martin. And we really do appreciate that. Thank you, Martin, for dropping in across the Tasman today. And for Roy and I, who are here in New Zealand, both enjoying absolutely beautiful days. When I look out my window above my laptop, I see blue skies, blue seas, and an absolutely stunning day. So my garden is calling. I'm sure there's a golf course with Roy's name on it, and I'm looking forward to meeting him in Auckland on Tuesday. So I invite the three of you, if you'd like to just stay with us after we close the live for a quick chat. That would be lovely. But for everyone else, Roy will be back next week, back on Australian soil, and your next Disruptive Business Leadership live stream will come from him. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you again, for me anyway, in 2026.